Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We know that Helene has been the deadliest and most devastating storm in North Carolina history.
Governor Roy Cooper and FEMA leaders are back in Asheville today. How a new program from the White House will ensure the needs of those people are met. Plus, we're just weeks ahead of the general election, and more than 1 million voters in our state have already cast their ballot. Ahead, the stops both campaigns are making this week in North Carolina. U.S. officials are investigating a new leak involving top secret documents. How this case resembles another breach of confidential information. Good Monday afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey in for Nate Chu. Thanks for joining us. In the last 2 hours, Governor Roy Cooper finished speaking about recovery efforts in western North Carolina. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with his message more than 3 weeks after that storm hit. Noah.
Michelle, a lot of new updates this morning, but the governor, he came right out and he started out saying this is the deadliest, most devastating storm in North Carolina history. He then provided the latest numbers on where recovery efforts stand right now. More than 1 million customers were without power. That number is now down to 5,400. NCDOT has opened more than 750 of the 1,200 roads that were closed. 28 school districts were closed. That number now down to 7. Some more figures for you here. More than 3,100 soldiers and airmen have been working here in western North Carolina. FEMA has registered 206,000 people for help. It has sent out $124 million to people in need. The state DOT is out with its first estimate for how much it's going to cost to fix all the roads, all the bridges. The preliminary number is $5 billion. The governor says this won't just be about fixing routes, but building them back to be stronger.
We know where this water can go now, so bridges have to be rebuilt in a stronger way. It may be that routes have to be redetermined as to where it goes. But I think the idea is that in order to connect the people of the mountains, which is so important, we need to invest to be able to do that.
Based on NC 211 data, which tracks this sort of thing, 26 people still currently not accounted for there in western North Carolina.
Noah, thanks for that update. Online classes resumed today at Warren Wilson College in Swannanoa. They've been on break since Hurricane Helene hit western North Carolina 3 weeks ago. Students will return to campus this Sunday after residence hall repairs and air quality remediation. Campus officials say the roofs of many campus buildings will be replaced or repaired in the next few months. Biltmore Estate plans to reopen for guests in time for the holidays. Beginning November 2nd, you'll be able to visit the estate for Christmas at Biltmore. In a post to Facebook, they said welcoming guests back to the estate provides critical support to our community, and we hope to welcome you very soon.
Here at the WRAL Live Center, we're seeing some live images right now. Former President Donald Trump, he is in Swannanoa, North Carolina right now. You can clearly see the damage from Helene behind him there as he's speaking with public officials, even some of the people who just live there, talking a little bit about some of the response that's happened in regard to Helene and the effects that have been felt in that area. Now, one of the things you may recall we have been following here at WRAL is former President Trump has sort of expressed some disapproval in terms of the response from FEMA out there. But right now, it seems that the focus is mostly on the recovery and what they are needed right now in that area. And this is actually the first of 2 days the president will be in North Carolina this week. And that's key to remember that North Carolina is a battleground state.
All right, thanks, Chris. A newly released report from a bipartisan task force concludes that the shooting was preventable and never should have happened. The House task force is investigating the first assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump and has released its interim report. It was based on 23 interviews with local law enforcement officials who attended the Butler, Pennsylvania rally. They detail the lack of communication and security failures as the chaotic event unfolded. Lawmakers will issue a final report on the findings by mid-December, including any recommendations.
About 13% of North Carolina voters have cast their ballots for the 2024 presidential election. That is more than 1 million ballots, according to the State Board of Elections. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains how the Harris and Trump campaigns are intensifying their efforts here in North Carolina with just 15 days until Election Day.
This polling location here in Apex is historically one of the busiest early voting locations in Wake County. And you can see that long line that's already outside of the building right now. And we're expecting to see dozens of more voters here later today. North Carolina voter turnout is higher this year. This year's early voter turnout during the first 3 days of in-person voting is up 2.4% from 2020. It's according to the State Board of Elections. Jason Riddle has served as a volunteer for the Democratic Party every day of early voting.
Some people are staunchly for their side, some people are less staunchly for their side, and it's been a good mixture.
Republican Gregory Lyon says he's happy to see voters from both sides of the aisle show up at the polls.
Yeah, it's simple. Like, if you have a complaint, voice it in the ballot box.
The presidential candidates are honing in on North Carolina for the final days of the race. Former President Donald Trump will be in Asheville and Greenville today. He will also make a stop in Concord for a faith leaders meeting. Then tomorrow he's stopping in Greensboro. Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff is making a stop in the Triangle tomorrow. If you need help coming up with your voting plan, just go to our website, WRAL.com, and search vote. There you can find our WRAL voter guide. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Apex.
Do you know where and when you will vote? Learn about each of the candidates on your ballot, be informed, and set a reminder to vote. You can do it all on WRAL.com. Just search vote.
The Highway Patrol is increasing traffic enforcement in school zones and at bus stops. Operation Stop Arm runs through 5 p.m. on Friday. The campaign coincides with National School Bus Safety Week and aims to raise awareness and also reduce incidents involving children. Passing a stopped school bus carries serious penalties, including fines of up to $500 and possible felony charges if someone is injured or killed. And we're also waiting to learn the name of the woman suspected of causing a crash on I-40 near Clayton. Troopers say the woman's vehicle rear-ended another car around midnight. She was taken to the hospital and faces numerous charges, including DWI, reckless driving, and driving without a license. The other driver was not hurt.
A woman is dead after a shooting just before midnight in Durham. It happened near a gas station on Fayetteville Street. WRAL's Laura Levine explains what we're learning from police who were on the scene investigating for over 5 hours this morning.
Investigators are now here working to determine the circumstances around this shooting. This happened less than a mile away from police headquarters here on Fayetteville Street. Let's take you to the scene. In this video, you can see the entire parking lot of the Citgo gas station there, surrounded by that crime scene tape. We also saw the forensics team, the fire department, as well as that mobile command unit set up. A lot of the attention focused in the parking lot there again. So investigators, they got the call just before midnight. That's when police arrived and found a woman suffering from gunshot wounds. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died. Right now, we are working to learn what led up to this shooting. Police also have not released the identity of the woman who died. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Durham.
A man was found dead at a hotel near Raleigh-Durham International Airport. Morrisville police were called to the Hampton Inn on Airport Boulevard a little after 7 last night. There, they found a man with a gunshot wound who was pronounced dead on the scene. Police say the shooting does not appear to be random and there is no threat to the public.
Some frozen waffles are being recalled for possible listeria contamination. Food processing company Treehouse Foods is pulling hundreds of frozen waffles from shelves. The company is recalling more than 500 varieties of its frozen waffles. They are sold at major chains like Aldi, Food Lion, Walmart, and Target. Many stores sell the waffles under their own store brand names. Consumers should throw out the recalled products. A big change is coming to X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. Under new terms of service, users agree that X can use their data to train its AI models. Grok, X's AI chatbot, has already been embroiled in controversy. Users accuse the chatbot of everything from spreading false information about the election to generating violent to graphic fake images of famous politicians. The new terms take effect November 15th.
Wall Street's rally to record highs is taking a bit of a breather here as trading starts on this Monday here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average taking the biggest hit. As you see right here, it is down 324 points right now. The S&P 500 not as bad off. It is down 24 points this noon. NASDAQ is down 29 points right now. Next at noon, people gathering for a celebration of black culture are part of a terrible tragedy. What happened when the dock to a ferry collapsed?
Also in Italy, a sinkhole swallowed a car after torrential rain. The warnings that continue as people are still being rescued.
Plus, arrests made after a home invasion around North Carolina Central University's campus. We'll have a live report for you coming up at 12:30. Elizabeth.
It is a beautiful noon hour here on the WRAL patio, but I'll show you why we're in for some ups and downs with our temperatures and why we normally see that this time of year.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A celebration of black culture turns to tragedy. 7 people were killed, 6 critically injured after a ferry dock collapsed on Georgia's Sapelo Island. Hundreds of people had gathered there to celebrate the Gullah Geechee community of black descendants of enslaved people. NBC's Priya Sridhar spoke with survivors.
This morning, new details on a catastrophic ferry gangway accident.
I heard something pop, and I reached for the railing. And when I reached for the railing, I saw the railing was gone.
At least 7 people were killed after a ferry ramp collapsed on Georgia's Sapelo Island, officials say, plunging at least 20 people into the water below.
Guests were in the process of loading the ferry, the Anne Marie, which was tied up to the dock.
Passengers were boarding the ferry and headed back to the mainland when the gangplank collapsed in the middle, officials say. Hundreds were gathered on the small island about 60 miles off Georgia's coast. Many there to celebrate the Gullah Geechee community of black slave descendants.
And it's a day of remembrance to remember our descendants.
Authorities say typically under 100 people daily come and go from the island that's only accessible by boat. But this weekend there were roughly 700 people on the island. Marsha Armstrong was on the gangway and heard the metal buckling before she plummeted into the ocean.
Something told me to stop fighting, stop kicking, and lay on your back. I laid on my back, and all of a sudden, God sent me an angel, and she grabbed my hand, and she pulled me to shore, and she said, "I got you."
That was Priya Sridhar reporting. Among the dead was a chaplain for the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. That ferry dock was rebuilt in 2020 after that state settled a federal lawsuit by island residents who complained the state-operated ferry boats and docks failed to meet federal accessibility standards for people with disabilities. The state also paid a cash settlement of $750,000.
Another heartbreaking story. 4 people, including a child, are dead after a helicopter crashed right into a radio tower in Houston. The aircraft was a private touring helicopter. After the radio tower collapsed, a fire the size of 2 or 3 blocks ignited in a field. Crews were able to put it out quickly. According to early reports, the lights on the tower were not working properly. No one on the ground was injured. The FAA is investigating the cause of the crash. And the NTSB and New Mexico State Police are investigating a deadly plane crash at the Las Cruces Airport and Space Expo. The crash happened around 2:30 yesterday, about half a mile west of the airport. The rest of the air show was canceled following the incident. The NTSB is expected to release a preliminary report within 30 days.
Parts of Italy and France are under a red or orange warning until tomorrow due to heavy rain in that region. Some areas recorded 27 inches of rain in just 48 hours. A giant sinkhole, you see it there, it swallowed a car this morning. Fortunately, everyone made it out safely. Schools are closed today and rail traffic is partially suspended. Firefighters performed more than 300 rescue operations. Hurricane Oscar made landfall in Cuba during a blackout, adding to the fears that the storm could prove especially dangerous. The electrical grid collapsed Sunday for the 4th time in 48 hours. People there are suffering from severe shortages of food, medicine, and fuel. Oscar could still be a tropical storm when it moves north of Cuba late today and across the central Bahamas tomorrow. The storm is not expected to impact the U.S. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner out on the WRAL severe weather patio right now with a beautiful day this afternoon, Elizabeth.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. We're going to touch on Oscar coming up in just a little while. That storm was a hurricane over the weekend, and it is likely to cross the Bahamas as a tropical storm. We'll take a look at that path in just a little while. First of all, we're going to take a look at the gardens, where it's absolutely gorgeous. Gosh, that green grass is so pretty, isn't it? And all the flowers still blooming. We have not had our first hard freeze here yet, but that is something you want to tune in to tomorrow. Chris Michaels is going to be talking about that in our morning newscast. When do we normally see that first freeze? 72 is our current temperature. We're going to climb to 77 this afternoon. Really feeling great out there. Our dew point's down at 49, so super comfortable as you're headed out. We did start with temperatures in the mid 30s to mid 40s this morning, but it's been a nice warm up. 68 still in Southern Pines, 67 in Rocky Mount, it's 73 right now in South Hill. So great feeling day out here, and a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. In some places, like up in South Hill, it's 5 degrees warmer. It's 5 degrees warmer in Goldsboro and 4 degrees warmer in the Triangle. So just feeling really comfortable. 72 is our normal high, so 78 today and tomorrow puts us a little above that, and then we're going to likely hit 80 degrees on Wednesday. After that, we see temperatures dropping back a little bit. We'll see a front that comes through on Thursday. That's going to bring our temperatures down a little bit. Some cool mornings, of course. 48 is our normal low. We do climb ahead of that front on Thursday to 56, but then we drop it back down again on Friday. Here's how that's going to look. We have high pressure in control of our weather right now. It slides by. That front swings on through on Thursday. The coldest air with that stays to the north, so we're not looking at freezing temperatures by any means. Just going to drop our temperatures a little bit. High pressure builds in right behind it. That's going to be a rain-free front for us, and it's this sort of pattern where we have these fronts coming through. A high builds in, a front, and then a high. It makes those up and down temperatures that we see during the fall and the spring in particular. Also related to the jet stream. The jet stream is the boundary between colder air to the north and warmer air to the south. And as these fronts move through, we see a trough in the jet stream that pushes the front through, and colder air comes in behind it. And then once that slides off, we see some of that warmer air pushing back in. And that is what we see this time of year. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, well, you know, it's a gradual cool down as we get closer to winter, but it's not. It's a roller coaster ride as we get closer to winter. And of course, that affects not just us, but, you know, insects. And you may have noticed some stink bugs. I've noticed we have 1 or 2 of those in our house, and they do like to make your house their house over the winter. And then when it's a warmer day like today, sometimes they come out, enjoy the warmth. But when it's cold out, they tend to, you know, find those little cracks and crevices to hang out in. But this is the time of year that we tend to see them. As it gets cold, they like to come inside with us. State Fair forecast for today, feeling great. Looking at 78 at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So feeling good out there for us today. And that continues. Notice no rain in our forecast for today. That'll be true all the way through Wednesday, a high of 80 degrees. And not just through Wednesday, but likely through the rest of the week. Look at this. All the way through the end of October, we have the potential for above normal temperatures. And coming up in just a little while, we're going to talk more about the rain, when we might see it, and where we stand in terms of the month of October. So that's coming up in just a little bit.
A beautiful stretch of weather, though. My goodness. Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, many state fair and concert goers experienced quite the traffic nightmare this weekend. Coming up today on WRAL News at 4, how the State Department of Transportation is planning ahead to avoid something like this from happening again.
Plus, Halloween is right around the corner, and it turns out your child's costumes could pose a serious safety hazard. On WRAL News at 5, 5 on Your Side shares ways you can keep your little ones safe. And still ahead this noon, it's East meets West in this year's Major League Baseball World Series. And the New York Liberty claim a first title in more than 2 decades. The exciting celebrations after the break.
And it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but inductees cross various genres. Coming up, the entertainer who put their sharp wit on display during their induction speech.
Give you this live look right now at the DBAP, Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Blue skies above, low 70s. I mean, it is perfect temperature, very little humidity right now. And watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Older Americans reported losing nearly $2 billion to fraud last year. That's according to an annual FTC report. For people ages 60 and older, bank transfers and cryptocurrency were the most common methods of payment used in the scams. The FTC estimates the actual total amount of money lost to fraud is closer to $60 billion. That's because the majority of cases are never reported. And younger adults are having a harder time finding jobs. According to data from the Labor Department, the number of people ages 20 to 24 years old who have a job declined the most in 2024. That is out of any other age group compared to 2023. There was a decline in the number of employed people ages 25 to 34. Economists say it's because companies are very slow to hire or fire. However, unemployment remains historically low, and there are still more job openings than before the pandemic.
Well, the wait is over. The New York Liberty are champions. Liberty defeated the Minnesota Lynx 67-62 in overtime of a decisive Game 5 in the finals. Nair Sabali came alive, scoring 13 crucial points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and had a key block in overtime. This is the team's first WNBA championship in 28 years of existence. We expect to learn details about a city celebration today. Expect a parade out of that. Sports fans are taking part in another celebration on the West Coast. The Los Angeles Dodgers are headed to the World Series.
Taylor's got it. Los Angeles is alive, and they're headed to the World Series.
And the Dodgers beat the New York Mets 10-5 in Game 6 of the National League Championship Series. So next up, it is the New York Yankees. It's the 12th time these two franchises will face off in the Fall Classic, but the first time since 1981. Game 1 of the World Series is Friday at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, that loss hurts my heart a little bit. It's okay. It's all right. All right, well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame welcomed its newest inductees, and the group spanned multiple genres, including hip-hop and pop. They include Cher, Mary J. Blige, Dave Matthews Band, Peter Frampton, Ozzy Osbourne, Kool and the Gang, Foreigner, and A Tribe Called Quest. This is Osbourne's second induction. He was inducted as part of Black Sabbath back in 2006. Cher threw a little shade during her speech, remarking it was easier getting divorced from 2 men than getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Worth the wait, though, I'm sure. 2 students charged in connection with a home invasion appeared in court just a short time ago. We'll hear from emotional family members in a story you'll see only on WRAL.
Also, was the leak of classified U.S. documents the work of hackers, or was it intentional? What the top secret papers contain that could impact the war in the Middle East. And as we head to break, here are your winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Chris, let me get back here in the WRAL Live Center. One thing I was listening to was former President Donald Trump as he is in Swannanoa, North Carolina, speaking with elected officials there, as well as people who live in that area. And essentially the real vibe that I got just from listening to him was that he's really reassuring people that the American people are with them and that help is going to be coming. And he even implied that additional help will be coming if he takes the reins of the White House. Take a listen.
I'm with you, and the American people are with you all the way. We're going to continue to be with you. We'll see what happens with the election. And we're, on January 20th, you're going to have, I think, a new crew coming in to do it properly.
The former president has been vocal about his disapproval of FEMA's response to that area. And some people even took a moment today to listen to him, thanked him for stopping by, even praying for former President Trump at one point.
WRAL had the only camera in court today as 2 NC Central students faced a judge for the first time. They're charged in a home invasion that happened October 10th. WRAL's Monica Casey was in court. Monica, this crime happened pretty close to campus.
That's right. That home invasion happened over on Fitzgerald Street. That's about half a mile from NC Central's campus. Both of the suspects were here in Durham County Court today, and they both received $300,000 bonds. Prosecutors say these two men threatened 4 victims with a gun and stole thousands of dollars of their property. NC Central student Jamori Coe is charged with 4 counts of robbery with a dangerous weapon, 4 counts of kidnapping, conspiracy to commit robbery, and first-degree burglary. Coe is 19. 18-year-old DeMarcus Coley is also an NC Central student facing the same charges. Both his mother and his father say he's never been in trouble before. He broke down when his mother spoke to the judge.
He's a good person, and I'm just praying and hoping that, that y'all can consider him having a reasonable bond.
Durham police say this arrest was made in collaboration with the Organized Crime Division, the Robbery Unit, and the NC Central Police Department. Durham police say a search warrant was also executed on campus at NC Central related to these arrests, and more charges are pending. Live in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Firefighters are trying to find the cause of this fire at Kinlaw's Supermarket in Fayetteville. The locally owned grocery store went up in flames Saturday night. Video from our WRAL breaking news tracker shows crews working to put out the fire. Firefighters were on that scene past 8 o'clock into the next morning, and WRAL will update you on air and online when we get more information.
We are waiting for Durham police to identify the woman who was shot to death just before midnight. It was at a gas station on Fayetteville Street. The victim died at the scene. So far, no arrests have been made. And we're also waiting to learn the name of the woman suspected of causing a crash on I-40 near Clayton. Troopers say the woman's vehicle rear-ended another car around midnight. She was taken to the hospital and faces numerous charges, including DWI, reckless driving, and driving without a license. The other driver was not hurt.
New rules under the Affordable Care Act could provide women with access to over-the-counter birth control pills and other contraceptives, and at no cost. Polls have found widespread bipartisan support for access to contraception. The rule will also require health plans cover all FDA-approved contraceptive drugs and some devices, including IUDs. If finalized, it would take effect in 2025. Black patients were about 74% more likely than white patients to receive opioid pills to manage pain after surgery. That's according to a new study out of Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Researchers also found that black patients were 29% less likely than white patients to receive a combination of 4 pain medicines. The combination of 4 medicines provided better pain relief and was less addictive than opioids.
Uninsured women can get free mammograms in Wake County. No cost 3D mammograms will be available for women over 40 who do not have insurance. They will be available from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily today through Saturday. That's at Wake Med's Raleigh Medical Park. Then again, next Monday through Thursday, you can register online. Last year, 305 women participated in the potentially life-saving screenings. They are so important. And they're labeled top secret, but they ended up online. A recent leak of highly classified U.S. intelligence documents is causing some security concerns. Amy Kiley reports on efforts to find out who obtained them and how.
The breach is serious.
The U.S. is investigating a recent leak of highly classified documents, House Speaker Mike Johnson has confirmed.
The leak is very concerning. There's some serious allegations being made there, investigation underway.
The documents contain what appears to be U.S. intelligence on Israeli plans to strike Iran. A source familiar with them says they're authentic. It's unclear how they ended up on Telegram and began circulating publicly online Friday. The FBI is likely tasked with finding out, alongside the Pentagon and intelligence agencies.
We don't want to see it repeated, and we don't know who has access to it, who might want to repeat it again.
The documents appear to be intended only for certain officials in the U.S., Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the U.K. Analysts say they're ending up online instead could make Israel hesitant to share future intelligence. Some experts think that could harm American interests in the Middle East.
We have troops in the region. We need to have prior notice in terms of what the Israelis are planning so we can protect our troops in the response as well.
That was Amy Kiley reporting. One of the two documents resembled the style of other material leaked by an Air National Guardsman about Russia's war on Ukraine and other national security secrets. Jack Teixeira pleaded guilty in March to leaking highly classified military documents. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison.
The holiday travel season is right around the corner. Why some are saying they're changing their plans this year.
And tiny homes are making a big splash. Which big retailer is offering these tiny, affordable masterpieces for those who want less house? And for news, traffic, and weather of the day, make sure to download the WRAL News app.
The U.S. Postal Service and a carriers union have reached a tentative agreement for 200,000 employees. The deal covers 2023 until 2026, giving cost of living adjustments and 1.3% raises. Two of the raises will be applied retroactively once the agreement is ratified by the carriers union. The agreement is part of a 10-year mission to modernize and improve customer needs. Boeing workers plan to vote on a new deal Wednesday that could end the workers' month-long strike. The agreement could give 33,000 union workers a 35% wage hike over 4 years and a $7,000 ratification bonus. The potential deal is a 10% increase from the last pay raise offer that union members rejected.
More than 80% of holiday travelers say they are changing their plans because of inflation. According to Bankrate, nearly a third of people anticipate traveling fewer days, while 30% are picking less expensive accommodations and/or destinations. More than a quarter say they are driving instead of flying, and another quarter are choosing cheaper activities as well. Well, if you want to own your piece of the American pie, but you're on a smaller budget, a big box store might be able to help you. Walmart is now offering tiny homes. The prefab tiny house list on Walmart's website for just under $16,000. The 19 by 20 feet homes has a 20-year frame lifespan and space for a living room, a dining room, bedroom, kitchen, and utility washroom. Consumers must have their own land and foundation for assembly.
We could have more opportunities to see the northern lights in the next year or so. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains the role solar energy plays in this rare light show.
Plus, talk about a rarity. Ferrari releases its first supercar in more than a decade. And despite its hefty price tag, this limited edition is already sold out.
1,700 fire code violations found in Wake County schools in the months leading up to the start of the school year. We're talking about uninspected sprinkler systems, in some cases for years, and much more. WRAL Investigates senior producer Randall Kerr requested all those records, and he's here now, Randall, with a preview of a story you'll see only on WRAL tonight at 6.
Yeah, Jeff, this is the second year in a row that we've looked at fire inspections at the start of the school year, and overall we found fewer violations compared to last year. But with every piece of the fire safety puzzle making a difference, even something like too much artwork on a door is not a minor violation.
If someone decides to light it up, it's just going to go. And that's the passageway to get these kids out. So that is a big deal.
Tonight at 6, we'll look at some of the most common violations, as well as the schools with the biggest to-do list to get up to fire code. With the school system already sending out a warning about its maintenance needs and lack of funding, we're asking questions about how everything will get fixed. WRAL.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today.
Yeah, Governor Roy Cooper gave an update this morning on recovery efforts in western North Carolina. More than 1 million customers were without power. That number is down now to 5,400. NCDOT has opened more than 750 of the 1,200 roads that were closed. 28 school districts were closed. That number is now down to 7. FEMA has registered 206,000 people for help. It has sent out $124 million to help people in need.
And former President Donald Trump is also in western North Carolina today. He's looking at the damage in Asheville. The former president's motorcade arrived just before noon. Trump is set to hold a rally in Greenville later today. He is set to speak at 3 o'clock this afternoon. He will then join faith leaders for a meeting in Concord.
And we're waiting to learn the name of the woman suspected of causing this crash on I-40 near Clayton. Troopers say the woman's vehicle rear-ended another car around midnight. She was taken to the hospital and faces numerous charges, including DWI, reckless driving, driving without a license, and the other driver was not hurt.
Actor and entertainer and activist Idris Elba has big plans for Africa's entertainment industry. Elba is launching a global entertainment hub for film studios to be built across the continent. He plans to start the project in Zanzibar, where the government has already promised to contribute 200 acres. Elba says that he hopes the move will open doors for young African creators to tell their own stories, as well as manage their own money.
Ferrari just revealed its special edition supercar, and it's already sold out. The F80 is Ferrari's first supercar in more than a decade, and only 799 of them were made. Couldn't make it to 800, huh? It's equipped with high-tech racing features like a 1,200 horsepower engine, metal 3D printed parts, and racing standard brake pads, all for just a cool $3.9 million.
That's a bargain.
Just grab it.
Yeah, I'll take one. Well, our pet of the day comes to us from AARF. Sugar is a graceful and unusually kind-hearted chocolate lab. She is playful and good-natured to everyone, and due to the terrible trauma she experienced, she feels the most loved and stable when she gets to sleep right next to you. She loves hard. To adopt her, you can call AARF at 919-894-1111.
North Carolina is seeing historic early voter turnout with a little more than 2 weeks to go from the general election. Coming up this afternoon at 4, our Capitol team is looking into the final campaign pushes happening in our state as candidates continue to vie for the White House.
And NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update is in 30 minutes.
And you get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Enjoy some of this sunshine. It's a beautiful day.
Get outside. Enjoy it.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.